So we can get started here. Now this is my model, Grayson. So we will be working with the clippers. We're going to be working with the fading, and also going to be kind of like doing a little fixer-upper on the top here. Going to be working a bit more scissor cutting, especially creating a lot more texture up here. So just something that I would like to design to make it definitely very commercial, very client friendly, something that you can tweak whatever way. You can use a razor, you can use whatever brand of clippers you want. But I think, and you can do everything scissor or comb. The choice is yours. But I just wanted to share with you the way I'm going to be approaching it. That's something that I would do in the barbershop or when I do my classes or so forth. So let me get started here. So the only thing is, unfortunately, I do not have my favorite camera woman. My partner Jen, she's not here. She's in sunny France right now. So unfortunately, I won't be able to answer any questions or so forth. So I do apologize about that. So, but once again, I will take a look at the comment section at the end, and I will, be able to answer through the comments myself. All right. So we're going to get started here. Now, I will be working with the clipper work first. Now, when we take a look at Grayson's hair texture, it's extraordinary straight. Now, so what I'm going to first do is I'm going to first put in my my baseline in first. So doing about a 0.5 of length. Okay, so not exactly skin. So we want to feel some stubble. We want to feel some hair. Then what we're then going to be doing is I'm going to be putting my guide light in, which will basically be the longer guard. And then you'll see I'm then going to be able to match it up or blend it through. So we will be talking about the blending options, what's going to work best, and so forth. So now what I'm going to be doing is, so I'm actually going to be using the Andis Zero Guard. Now, these clippers right here, they're actually spot on perfect for what I'm about to do. So making sure that I have a cutting comb in my hand, and I'll be going through first here. Now, really just making sure that the height of this, deciding on how high you want to take your fade. So of course we have high, medium, and low. Now, all depending when we take a look at the head shape. Now, ideally, so when we do a low fade, that's just really primarily working around the hair. Then we have a medium fade. Now, how high is a medium fade? Now, what I usually do, I usually take my clipper and I put it on the side right there. That'll be a medium fade. So it also works for whatever clipper brand you use. I use Andis. Then above that will be high. So determining on how high you would like your fade, a lot of times, sometimes of course you want to do that in the consultation, but sometimes, when you're doing a haircut, you're like, oh wow, I got to take it a little bit higher. Just make sure you inform the client though. But a lot of times, as long as as long as the client is getting a great haircut, I'm pretty sure they're going to be quite happy. So, okay, so making sure that I'm going around. Now I'm going to be working from here, from the temple area, this way. Now making sure that it's good to have a comb. Now the reason why I have a cutting comb in my hand versus a fade brush is because I want to make sure that I can control the hair when I'm cutting it. So normally what happens as I'm going shorter and shorter, I will switch over to my fade brush. And because that will be a lot softer, it can get rid of any loose hairs, any dryness, and it's a lot more softer on the head than a comb. So now when I'm working this around, I'm going to stop right smack in the middle, by right there in the middle. And now here, because the direction's going up, I'm going to go down. And go up. Now, the one thing about fading is shading. So really work with the color, making sure that we are examining, all right, seeing how the different tones of color, the skin tone, the hair color, okay, that will place an important factor in your fading. A lot of times, it's not just like the diagrams that we see. 4, 3, 2, 1. We have to work with the shape of the skull. Okay, it's extraordinarily important. Now, working this through, and you see a little trick that I do, even when I'm taking hair off, I tend to go still. Now, the thumb is your steering wheel of the clipper, so that will guide you. So I tend to go in different directions, so almost like a crisscross, or like if you had an eraser of a pencil. So I tend to go a little bit more, doing more of an angle. So that will hopefully give a little bit less of an impact of a harsh line. Now at this point here, so I'm just going to just brush the hair off. Then you're going to see that I'm going to be doing the longer guard. So now we can go into a number 2. Now these are magnetic, so they won't pop off or anything. And these are like really good for like maybe, I love using them. These are the single magnet ones that fit this one. Now I tend to use the magnetic ones. One, it's like a different color, so it goes through the hair. You can see what you're cutting. Now, what will happen is, because I'm establishing kind of like the guideline or the top of the wall, so I'm creating a building right now, I'm creating the walls right now. At the top, you'll see I'll do the roof. Okay. Now, what I'm doing is, now, you'll see, because I want this to be quite flat, you might see that I'm actually going to be using my arm movement to keep it flatter. Okay. So I'm not going to go in. I want to keep it straight up, so that's why I'll use my arm. Now, for the blending, or, taking the hair shorter in certain areas, you'll see I might use more of my wrist or my hand. So that'll be the main difference of my cutting techniques working with the clippers. Now, as I move around, okay, you'll see them as I'm working around here. You can probably see that angle. Now, you can also do clipper over comb. You can do scissor over combing for blending. There's different options, okay? What's right or what's wrong. Now, the thing is, there's no right or wrong way. It's whatever you feel comfortable with. So for me, I'm going to be showing a lot of different options for blending, because I want to be able to show, for the students, for the learners, there's a different approach. Now, everyone will have a different approach to cutting hair, okay? That's why we're artists, yeah? Artists work with their mind, their hands, and their heart, So that's what I'm doing right now. I want to make sure. So you see going up. Now what will happen is, you're going to have in between. All right, so if we take a look here, all that area here, okay? So now, if that was like a 0 guard or attachment comb, and that's the number 2, what's in between? Yeah, and that's what we're really going to be focusing on with the blending. Now, let's see. Oh, here we go. So this one is, we're going to do something called downgrading, which is going from a longer number down to a shorter. So this is a 1.5 attachment comb, which is about 4.5 millimeter of length. Now, here we go. So now I'm just going to go back in. In, and you'll see I'm also going to be working sometimes just the corners of my clipper blade, okay? So by using the corners, I can kind of like, it's almost like point cutting into that fade. Because remember, you're working with the color. And through, make sure you have your lever. This is a closed 1.5 guard. Then we can then go to the number 1. Now, what I like about these clippers, one, they're absolutely brilliant. I'm going to show you later that they're actually the actual blade with the lever comes off. So it's a detachable blade lever. So I'm going to show you where I'm going to put my fade blade on. So yeah, and that's where I'm going to be using more towards the bottom. If you see, right now, I did an open one. Now I'm doing a closed one. Going back and forth. So I wanted to show you as well. So I'm going to do a little bit of clipper over comb just here, just to really take away that bulk and making sure that, it's going to help with the blending. Now, the key thing is I'm going to use a white colored comb because the hair is dark. I'm going to go up. I'm actually going to go straight across. Now, for the hairdressers out there, the reason why I'm doing this in this general area is that's the layering area of a man's haircut. So, just like the medium fade, anywhere from here downwards is graduation. Anywhere from here upwards is layering. So, that's why it's just like pretty much so many haircuts are all the same because we're using the same cutting techniques. But of course, we work with different lengths. Yeah, so we're going to continue. Now, Grayson's hair texture is extraordinarily very straight. So you're going to see I will down in order to work with everything, I will have to use my scissor over comb technique and also working with my blending scissors as well because his hair is extraordinarily straight. So, but you know what? I don't mind, hair cutting, I like a little bit more of a, I don't want to say a challenge, but I really want to be able to show you guys something that I feel a bit more comfortable with, and also want to show, hopefully, that some of you will enjoy and maybe learn from this. So, okay, that's a half guard now. I'm just going back in. I will work with the perimeter here, or the outline, so I will be using my trimmer for that. Working with that color. Now, you can also use, a little trick is, you can also use clipper over comb with a guard attachment or attachment comb on it. What will happen is, that would be like almost like, it will give a softer blend. Okay, so if I take this off and then I go with the clipper over comb, it's going to give a bit more of like a stronger, like harsh, clipper style. Now, if I put this back on, when I go back over, it just helps soften it. It's not going to be like such a harsh line or anything. So that's a great way. Just like it's kind of like, I call it blending scissors, but you're using it for the clippers. So, okay. Now, so what I'm now going to do, so I'm now going to be working with my scissor over comb technique. Now, yep. So by doing that, so I'm going to be going over, making sure I'm using the wide end of the comb, using my full blade. So once again, guys, I do apologize about not having a person to help me with the filming. I do apologize. So I did try to get someone to help me, but unfortunately. But yeah, no, I'm very grateful to be here back, starting the new year with Hairbrains. So, myself, I live in Edinburgh, Scotland. And yeah, so I'm a freelance educator. So I work for various different brands. I also travel. I do shows, internationally. And also we're launching our new online tutorial course program where it's got over 70 plus videos and it's very personal and it's great. So it's for anyone, for hairdressers or young barbers or barbers that want to refresh their skills or anyone that wants to go into barbering. This is a great course, and I left a link attached to this video here. So if you have any questions about that, please, I will answer any questions, especially after I'm done with this video. You can also check us out on Instagram, which is Sid Saltung Academy. And yeah, so we'd love to be able to connect with you. Then if you have any questions about the clippers I'm using, the scissors or anything, please let me know. I will be also going back over this as well. Now, so we also use the thinning scissors. Now with these ones here, they actually have like a little dial. So you actually have 30, 20, or 10%. So depending on what, when I use blending, or I call them blending scissors because I just primarily use them for blending. So when I'm using them, it's just really to work with the actual color of the fade or the haircut. So I'm not necessarily using it for the actual, to thin out the hair or anything. It's more because his hair is so straight. So I can, there's just different ways of doing it. So there's multiple different ways. You can just use your normal scissors. If you want to just do your clipper cutting, the choice is yours. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is, so you can see I'm going to pop the actual, you can actually see. So I'm taking the fade blade off. And I'm actually going to be putting a bevel blade. So these are great. I mean, I absolutely love them. Sorry that. And that's really designed, especially with the bevel blade going in. I just want to kind of help blend this out for him a little bit right here. Then when we do the nape area, going up and out. But then you'll see I'm going to be using my trimmers just to really, just to polish that off for him, Okay, so now these are my trimmers here. So they're the Andis trimmers. So they also have a T-blade design with the exposed blade. And these are brilliant. Sorry, I'm just going to try and give you guys a little more light here. So now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to just work a bit more of a curve panel here just to go with his bone structure. And also, I don't want it to be too square because then what will happen is it will look like kind of like Lego Man. I don't want to do that to him. He's a nice guy. So now when I'm just say in the back here, what will happen is when I go up, I still pull out. I'm not necessarily going to go downwards like that, especially on the back hairline area. If I do that, it's going to really kind of maybe be a bit too harsh for him. All right, especially with his skin. So very gentle. Don't go crazy. I'm going up and out. I kind of flick. It's almost like a C motion. Then I'm going to go around because I'm still just like kind of like what I'm doing is I'm planning out my next move for here. Now you might see any areas now, especially around the ear area, it kind of like grows a little bit off to the side. So sometimes I might have to go this way or maybe use my comb just to control it. So there's different ways. Now, as I go here, I will then make sure that I'm using a curve. So right now, I will then almost like a tapping motion. I'm just using the tip Just using the tip. I'm also using a little comb movement here to control it. Here we go. So I will then continue to the other side, and then we will then also, you'll see the way I'm going to be approaching the scissor work later on. Okay, so this is just, I'm just trying to do this a bit more of a quicker feeling here, just so, because I know maybe some of you in America right now are maybe watching it during your lunch break. Some of them, especially if you're in England or Scotland, you probably maybe just got off work. So I do want to make sure that I'm not, I want this to be very beneficial for you. So please give us a thumbs up if you're enjoying what you're learning. So, okay. Okay, so I'm now going to continue. I'm going to go back to my clipper work. Now, a lot of times, so depending on what you're trying to achieve, so some barbers, I'm going to just blend that in a little bit later. Some barbers will go from here to here. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to go from this side, or I do this side, then this side, then I approach it in the back because it's a lot easier. And I'm also to be able to check my balance through a mirror, especially if I had one, would be great. So right now I'm just kind of just like focusing on creating with everything that I'm trying to create, is that I'm going to replicate on the same number sequence, for example. So I'll be doing a 0.5 guard on the sides for the baseline. Then I'm going to be using then my number 2 attachment comb, and then we're going to work with the blend. Okay. Now, so this is a 0.5 guard, and I'm actually going to go to the magnetic one just for a bit more control. Okay. Now that's a closed 0.5 guard. I'm moving this around. And I'm going to continue. Okay. Then you'll see then I'm going to be doing my guideline, which is kind of like, still like the wall of the building. Okay. Now this is number 2 attachment comb. Now once again, I will be working this way with my arm. I want to try and create a bit more of a flatter surface. Just want to maintain some length here. There we go. Going around. So yeah, so that's where I'm gonna, that's what separates the top and the sides. You can see right here, and that's what this number 2 is about, which is about 6 millimeter of length. I should know the inches and everything. I'm American, actually. It's 1/4 of an inch, so I do apologize. I've lived in the UK for over 20 something years, so I couldn't, I couldn't tell you about size, like measurements and everything. I'm so confused. So, okay, so now I'm going to be going into maybe an open one, okay, then to a closed one. So, going in, that's an open one, and back and forth. So yeah, as you can see, when I'm using now a closed one, that's you're gonna start seeing this getting a lot more blended. So remember, think about crisscross. So just remember like a pencil eraser. You know, you got a pencil, you're writing something, and oh, you make a mistake. What do? You go back and forth to erase it. That's what we're doing with the clippers to help with any lines or exaggerations. Because after a while, if you keep on going straight up, just remember the head shape is round. So if we keep on using a square blade, that's what it is, going like that, it's going to be like a hexagon. It's going to have like these little points or corners. So that's what happens is it will start looking quite heavy or not blended. And making sure to see I have a fade brush in my hand to get rid of any, to say if there's any dryness of the scalp or loose hairs that get stuck on the head. Hence why it's kind of like almost like a nail brush. So it's a bit soft for the head, so you're not going to hurt your client. And also just really just, but it's small enough that it kind of just fits in your hands just to really help, so you always want to be able to have, you need two pieces of equipment when you're doing a fade. The brush or the comb and of course the clippers. Okay, so now I'm just going to go around the hairline area here. Then I'll be using the trimmer. Then we're going to be doing the clipper of a comb. And then we're going to be doing the top. So now I'm going to, because I have the clipper in my hand, so I don't have to put down and get the trimmer, I'm going to be doing the clipper of a comb first. Now, because I'm on the left side, I'm right-handed. Now, if I go this way, all the hair is going to get on his face, all right? And I like him; he's a nice person. So I don't want to make him all itchy that way. So if you're right-handed and you're doing the left side, I'm going to do a backhand motion, okay? And you'll see it's just a great way to get the loose hairs off his face. And you see, with the clipper of a comb, it's very similar, same concept as scissor of a comb. And for me, clipper of a comb is it's a necessity in the world of barbering. It's just very extraordinary quick. Um, Now, what is the main difference between clipper of a comb and scissor of a comb? The difference is it's a clipper of a comb. I do a lot of bulk and also for like a little tapering. But remember, it looks like a clipper haircut. Now, when you do something with scissors, it gives a bit more like a slight more natural effect or a tiny bit textured, if you want to call it. So there's different choices depending on what you're trying to create. There's no right or wrong way. It's whatever you as an artist are trying to create. So hopefully that makes sense for you guys. So yeah, so on Sunday I'm off to Denmark to be hosting a couple courses. I'm going to be teaching out there. Then I come back, and then I'm going to be going down to Kings Lynn for Captain Fawcett, where I'm going to be teaching a wet shaving course. So it's going to be quite busy. And then we're launching our new online barbering program on January 24th. So it's going to be quite busy for everything. So which quite excited, especially for 2024. So I hope everyone is you had a great, safe holiday. Hopefully Santa Claus was good to you, and yeah, getting ready for the new year. So especially here in Edinburgh, Scotland, it's a bit cold. So I know around, my mom lives in South Carolina with my sister, and yeah, she even said it was cold there. So is it cold by you guys? Let us know in the comments section. Okay, now I'm going to be doing this side here. So I'm going to be just grabbing my comb. The reason why it's just that I like to control some of the hair here. Now, depending on what, not every guy gets a really strong shape up. So in this case, Gleason here is very, he's still young, and so I really want to show definition from his beard into his haircut. So, and right now I'm just using the very tip. I'm kind of just trying to, you want to try and create more of like a C motion or a C tempo area. It's also called a C cup. And you see, that's why I use the comb. I like to make sure I have the comb there just to help me create a bit more of a little more like I'm able to control everything. Then if I need to, I can also do a tiny bit of trimmer over comb if need to. Just in case if it feels a little bit too, what's the word I'm looking for? A little bit too heavy. So you can go back in. Now, I'm able to do this with my trimmers here because they got a bit of a deep tooth blade, meaning they can also go through a little bit of longer hair. Now, normally trimmers are more designed for going through shorter hair, hence why we use them out towards the ends. And I'm just doing this here just to really make sure that it's all perfect here for him. Now, I'm going to go back in with my blending scissors. So just really just to help. His hair is extraordinarily straight. So when I'm doing the scissor combing, I'm really just going in with the wide end of my cutting comb and pulling out. So if I tend to go in, I'm going to round it off too much. And also, if you could kind of see what's happened, this is what you'll see, right? So we'll need to do a fixer-upper later. I'm going to talk you through it, okay? But I mean, it's everything could be repaired. So I have complete faith. So, but with these, I'm just really using them not to thin out the hair, but just to help with the blends and also with the color. Because remember, fading is shading. So we're working with the hair color and also the skin tone as well. So that's what we're working with here. Okay. Just going to just go over this side one more time. And then we're going to wet the top, and we're going to be doing some scissor cutting there. Okay. There we go. Cool. So, okay, was my, I was looking for my spray bottle. Oh, here it is. Okay, so, yep, he still has hair, which is great. So we're now going to be just wetting down the top. So I kind of want to give him like a bit of like a rough and ready type of look, meaning what I mean by that is it's like, just think like, like David Beckham, where he just a little bit more rough and like he just jumped out of the shower, looking all sexy and all that. That's what I'm trying to do because now, okay, and I don't like to talk about other people's work, but what his previous haircut, it's not something I would recommend to do because I'll show you in a moment. It seems like there's a lot happening here, and because of his hair texture, we need to kind of like take him back a little bit and to kind of grow the hair with a little more substance here. So now, if you can see, kind of, yeah. So what I'm going to do, he's got also a very, very strong side parting as well. So what we're going to do here, I want to work with sections across the head like so, going like this, and I want to trying to maintain a square shape here, because the thing is with Grayson here, his bone structure, his actual bones and muscles, they tend to want to go whoop like that. So it kind of makes him look like when it grows out, makes him look like he's wearing like a hat. So and also with his hair being so straight, I really want to make sure I try and maintain something square in the top for him. And that was the thing is it's actually the very first time I've been ever cut Grayson's hair. So I'm treating him like just like a normal client. So we had a consultation beforehand. Really just trying to see and I had to give him two options because with this hair that's so straight, there's about two different options. One, you cut the hair extraordinarily short, so then it won't stick out so much. Or you have to keep the hair long enough that it starts bending. All right. So unfortunately, when you cut it in the middle, like his previous haircut, yeah, that's when the problems happen. So I'm now going to be working this. You can see working with my guide. I'm going to just take in some more of that point off here. I'm actually going to be using the point of my scissors because I don't want to like give too much of like scissor marks in the hair. So that's why I'm doing this on wet hair, just to give it a bit more of like a textured shape. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so making sure my body position, I'm going to be standing behind, combing from the root to the ends, and then boom. And I want to make sure that my scissors, they're going at an angle. By doing at an angle, I take length off. But yeah, it's going to be cool, I think. It's just like, I'm really thinking David Beckham, when you see him like that kind of like tousled look. So then we're also going to be talking about type of product to use to create that. So I'm going to be using more like I have to blow dry it. So we're going to be using something like a sea salt spray to blow dry with. And then we're going to be using a clay kind of as a finisher. Okay, so it's going to be a bit tricky in this point here by the parting. Okay. And here we're going to be just turning this back. And then we're going to be drying this after I'm done here. Then we're going to be then refining it, doing any texturizing, just more of like a personalization to really give a great personal like feel to the hair where, you work with the client, and that's where the artist side comes about. Now, I decided to work from the back to the front because then it kind of gives me an option of over directing the hair back, meaning to keep longer hair in the front. So that's the reason why I had started in the back first and then going forward. Now, if this was something, especially in the UK, something called a short back and sides, which is quite like almost like a standard haircut. I can easily start in the front and then just work my way back and make it all even. But I started in the back, working my way forward because it gives me option to keep some length in the front. So, which I want to I want to try and salvage, which is, it's a bit tricky here because it was also like quite thinned out with scissors. So it's a bit of a tricky one, but we'll get there. But then also what I had to do was I actually had to grab a mirror and I actually had to show Grayson here what what was happening, and he like the look of he was just like what the you know. So that's the thing. So communication with your clients is important. It's just like I had to be honest with him, but I also did give him two options. And I said, listen, I'm cool either way because I'm just doing a tutorial video, so it doesn't. It's like I also want my client. I want my client, because to feel comfortable with his hair, and that's one of the things. So it's something that we really, it's good to think about. It's not just about what, doing a cool haircut and getting pictures on Instagram or whatever. It's about really creating, for me, the returning client, you know, um, someone that, like they're happy with the hair and the service, they trust you as a professional, and they want to come back to you. Okay. I think to me, that's a lot more important than just getting likes, on Instagram, so. Okay, so I'm just continuing here. I'm going to dry, and then we're just going to check everything. Then I'm going to see how the sides. I have to take a look. I have to stand in the front here to take a look because I don't know what's happening. So, all right, yeah, cool. So yep, good. You still got hair. And that's what I had to say to. There's a lot of things like I had to say to Grayson. I was like, listen, you still have hair, but it's like I need to. I have to be honest with you. I mean, it's it it just to me personally, knowing what, like from my experience in doing hair, I now I can kind of see what, um, and it's a bit tricky too because it's like when we want our clients to be happy, and of course we want to be able to give them, you know, but sometimes we have to take a step back to go forward. So now you can cross check, which is going the opposite direction. And you see, I'm just gonna just really little shavings, little tiny bits I'm taking off, nothing crazy. And I'm basically what I'm doing is I'm literally just checking. Okay. Yeah, look out, David Beckham. Yeah, cool. Through. Okay, so what I'm now going to do is we're going to apply the sea salt spray, and then we're going to dry it into the hair with the blow dryer. Then I'm going to be really just really perfecting and going over everything, making sure that when I'm approaching this, it's going to be more of like a visual, everything working with different type of tools, just to perfect the haircut. Okay. So this is the sea salt spray from Captain Fawcett, which is a British-made brand, which is based in King's Lynn, which is Norfolk in England. So yeah, so I get to go down there. I'm teaching wet shaving and beards to the British Fellowship, and yeah, so I'm quite excited about that. And yeah, so I've been using the hair care range for a little bit, and it's lovely. So nice sized bottle too. So which is really cool. I'm going to be using the actual clay afterwards. Now this is a very dry paste, and it's absolutely brilliant. So I'm going to be using that. So now what's good about this is sometimes like when you're doing your consultation with your clients, what I also do recommend is also as well, it's like start thinking about what type of product you're going to use. You start getting that through your head. Because I know especially for some of the beginners. I know it could be, there's a lot to think about. All right, but what I'm doing is really just trying to take a look, seeing what the best thing is like you get your head in motion. So during the consultation, I will talk about products to the clients, just because it's like, if they're using, a wrong product in their hair, it's going to look like crap when they go home, like when they try and restyle it. So I'm not saying you have to be a hard sell, but you have to educate your clients. It's good about creating education for them. So I'm actually just finger drawing it. Um, the reason why I'm finger drawing it instead of using a brush, I just want to kind of like, just give it a little bit of cool texture. Um, it's because I will go back over and just check the haircut and so forth. So I'm kind of just using my fingers with the blow dryer, just to get a very natural effect. So once again, guys, my name is Sid Saltung, and I do apologize. I don't have a beautiful camera lady with me. She is on holiday in, where is she now? France. So she's in France, and then she goes back to Italy and all that. So I do apologize she's not here, but she will be here for the next time. I was going to try and train my dog to try and, try and help me film, but he's too short. So he's a Chihuahua. Okay, so now at this point here, you can do either point cutting of a comb. I'm just doing that just to help kind of, help with any of the hard lines or anything like that. So it's all depending what you're trying to achieve. Okay, but remember, examine the type of hair texture. So what I mean by that is his hair is extraordinary straight. So, just keep that in mind. Okay. Hence why I didn't just go in with club cutting on the top. All right. Yeah, you can also point cut into the fade just by keeping it very flat, 90 degrees. And when I do the same thing on the opposite side, just to really help, and go back in, make sure that's all cleaned up. And then after that, we're just going to just very gently point cut the top. And then we're going to be showing you how to finish it off. So I hope today's tutorial was okay for you. I know some of you maybe are on your lunch break in America, or maybe some of you are just waking up. Um, and I just want to say thank you very much for allowing me to share my knowledge with you. Please, for more information, you could check out we also have our new online course, barbering course, which is coming out on January 24th. The link is all within this post. So please check it out, and you can sign up on our waiting list, where you'll also get an early bird special discount. So yeah, and I'm very excited because it's over 70 plus videos, and I'm just so happy about it, really. Um, I'm just excited to be able to share with you, my knowledge and my education and so forth. So I definitely put my heart and soul into it. So of course, we always want it to be perfect, and I know it's, no one's perfect. Not all the fancy Instagram celebrities or anything. No one's perfect. So, especially in the world of hair, we all started off as beginners. So now I'm not trying to thin out the hair. I'm actually just just point cutting into it, just to really give it a bit more of like a rough and ready. Now, the product itself, I just really want to use it as more like a finishing aid. So not as like necessarily a styling aid where he's going to be like, oh my God, I need to use product. Oh. I mean, I really want to try and I really want him to hopefully like his haircut. Because he is into his hair, which is great, but he needs to look good for his job. So it's important. So, okay. Here we go. Just want to make sure. And just a little bit of a perfectionist here. And plus, he's bigger than me. I don't want him to beat me up if he doesn't like his hair. So. So I'm just going to put a little bit of talcum powder before we put the product on top. My favorite American, my Clubman talcum powder. Absolutely love it. It reminds me back when I was back in New York in the barbershops. Um, Even when I was a young, like really young, I remember going to the barbershop with my father. God bless him. And the smell of the talcum powder, and it was the Clubman one. So I think that's one of the key things. Is like, especially like in your salons and barbershops, the sense of smell is so important. So by the smell of the amazing products, that you can use. But remember, it's just like when you are, working with the products, show the clients, have them, like you can see that with the clay it's like how much to use. They can also smell the product and see what they think. So with the clay, I'm starting off small. The thing about product is you can always add, you can't subtract so easily. So okay, we're going to make him look like sexy beasts. I'm just going to just add a touch more. I think you don't need a lot. This is a very concentrated formula, so you don't need a lot of product. Okay? So meaning that container will last your client, a good 6-7 months. Okay. Okay, everyone. So this is my finished result here within this time frame. I hope you enjoy it. I try to be as informative as possible. So once again, just a slight recap, the way I approached it. So I just put my baseline in first with the 0.5 attachment comb. Then went up to my number 2 attachment comb and then just blended in between. So you could do downgrading or upgrading. So the longer number first of the attachment guard and then going downwards. Then the top, what I did was just to even everything out. So I just worked from in front of the crown, working across the head like so, and cutting more or less. I use point cutting technique to kind of even out the balance there. So this is a work in progress. But I feel that like we're getting him on the right path, and yeah, so he could then make it a little bit easier and manageable for his, for when he wants to style this himself at home. All right, everyone. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's lesson. Once again, I will answer any questions or any comments as soon as the video is over with, and I have to wash my hands and I have to show him the mirror. um, but I will make sure I will answer any questions and everything. So please check out the link for our waiting list about our new online barbering program coming out January 24th. A big thank you to Captain Fawcett, all right, with the wonderful products that they allowed me to use. Big thank you to Yoy Scissors. They supply me with the scissors here in the UK. And a big thank you to Andis for creating such beautiful tools.